It's Wednesday! Time for another Action Figure Adventures video here on SEO Toy Review. Today, Baby Skeletor and I are taking a look at a MOTUC Classics 2-pack from Matty Collector. We've got Terror Claw Skeletor and Flying Fist He-Man. These are some really cool variants of the main characters from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. And I can't wait to take them out of the package and take a closer look at them. Here's a closer look at Terror Claw Skeletor and Flying Fist He-Man in the package. You can see they each come with some cool accessories. And they look like the MOTUC Classics figures we've come to know and expect. The back of the package, of course, contains a bio for both characters. Let's get ready to take these guys out of the package. Now we're taking a look at them out of the package. My initial reaction is, they're pretty nice figures. But it also does strike me that they kind of cut corners in a few places. Both figures are very nice looking, but they kind of lack some details. Terror Claw Skeletor's claws are kind of bland. And you know, we all know that Flying Fist He-Man should have back metal armor. Maybe this is a durability issue, because some of the Hordax did flake. I think it's probably a cost-cutting thing. It doesn't look terrible, but the back metal is really cool. Alright, we're going to take a closer look at He-Man first. He's got silver armor on. He's got a bright red belt and bracers. He's got brown boots and loincloth. He's basically a Classics character, Classics He-Man figure. You know, we've got a million He-Mans at this point, so we know what to expect. He's got his weapons that come with Flying Fist He-Man. The shield with the rotating outside piece there. Spins pretty well. You know, it's plastic rubbing on plastic. It's not the best bearing surface. And then his other hand has his bolo weapon, which spins pretty nicely. And then he also comes with a completely unpainted power sword. I actually kind of like that. If you were really trying to make a Classics He-Man look like the vintage toy, and you gave him that sword with that vintage head that came with Olar, I really feel like it would really capture that feeling of the old toy. Because the original toys didn't have any paint decos on their accessories like that. While posing my He-Man around, I noticed that his shield must have been clipped on his arm in the factory while the paint was still wet. The little dots on his bracer have gold paint on them. And the inside of the clip on the shield actually has paint rub on it. I don't know if you can see, it's really hard to get it angled just right on the camera there. But there's just little white, or little gray circles where there's no gold paint on the clip of the shield. I think Flying Fist He-Man's is a nice variation. I like the figure a fair amount. The spinny accessories don't really do much for me. You know, I could do without this thing, although the shield's not terrible. The bolo weapon I thought was ridiculous back in the 80s. And I think it's still ridiculous today. He-Man, what's the weather on Eternia going to be like today?
I don't know. Let me check my barometer. Pressure's dropping. I think a storm is coming.
Ow! I better get home. Panther's outside. I don't necessarily think Terror Claw Skeletor is better than Flying Fist He-Man in this update, but I always thought he was a better concept as a vintage figure. It's basically, you know, scary monster armor for Skeletor, which is actually kind of common in toy lines. Skeletor here is a similar Skeletor figure we've seen in the past. He's got kind of some part swaps a little bit here and there. He's got like the boot shins, but monster feet. His skin tone is different than other Skeletor figures, which is kind of weird. It's a little bit more like blue-gray than the pale blue that Skeletor usually is. And unlike his vintage figure, he has the loincloth. That loincloth was actually, you know, an add-on piece to the Skeletor armor for the original figure. So not every version of Skeletor had that. And it's just part of the Skeletor buck, you know, they have for the Classics line. Skeletor, of course, comes with his giant terror claws. They're basically hollow pieces of plastic that have handles inside them. You can kind of see here on the backside there how it attaches. And it works pretty well. You know, they don't just fall off or anything like that. I'm not going to take them off because I'm worried about, you know, those clips flexing over time and maybe the fit loosening up, because Terror Claw Skeletor without his claws is kind of ridiculous. He's got one more accessory we have to check out though. On Skeletor's back, he has this weird bone/mechanical dinosaur thing that kind of gives me a Hordak vibe. Here's that weapon, so we can take a closer look at it. It's got a handle on the underside. It's almost exactly like the bolo weapon that He-Man has. It has an articulation point here at the center, and it has an articulation point at the mouth. I actually kind of wish the articulation point was at the neck. I feel like it would be more useful when you're holding it as a weapon. It's kind of weird. The techno bits to it is what makes it seem like a horde item to me. But this did come with the vintage Terraclaw Skeletor, and it's a pretty faithful recreation. So Flying Fist He-Man and Terraclaw Skeletor. You knew we had to get these variants at some point when the line went on this long. Glad we finally have them. They're not the most exciting figures in the line, but, you know, they're kind of necessary if you're a completist and you're really into those variants. Thanks for watching this Action Figure Adventures video. Leave us a comment below telling us which variant of He-Man and Skeletor is your favorite. And do maybe Skeletor a favor, hit that like and subscribe button.